Gretchen Carlson and State Senator Diana DiZoglio, thank you so much for speaking with us. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Lynn, for having us on.
Gretchen, in 2016, you alleged that you were fired from your program at Fox News for refusing Roger Ailes' sexual advances. You reached a settlement with the company, but as part of that settlement, you were told you're not allowed to say anything about what happened to you.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and my settlement back in 2016 was very progressive for its time because I received a rare public apology, which almost never happened. I was also given the ability to speak about the issue of workplace harassment, which I have taken advantage of, to try to make the world a better place for all women and men. Yes, I cannot tell you about the details, although you can go and look at my complaint online if you would like to. My lawyers were strategic enough to be able to figure out how to make my case public, or we wouldn't even be having this conversation right now.
You've been pushing Fox News, regardless, to release you from that non-disclosure agreement. Have they, and where does that negotiation stand?
We have not heard from them. We've actually demanded to be released from it, and we have not had any communication back from them. That's why we created Lift Our Voices, actually, because we are, it's a nonprofit organization to eradicate NDAs for all women and men in this country. And, you know, it may be too late for us at Fox, maybe not, but we're going to make sure that we eradicate this for everyone else who's currently being muzzled. Not
that the burden should ever be on you, but have you ever been tempted to just break the NDA, tell the world what happened, and just say to Fox News, I dare you to come after me?
I don't really want to find out how that might turn out. I have the ability to do tremendous work on behalf of all women and men in our country without getting into the details. However, it is frustrating to watch my story play out on a miniseries and a major motion picture without being able to say, well, that's not really how that happened, or, well, that's not really the true way that that took place.
State Senator DiZoglio, you were sexually harassed when you were a staffer on Beacon Hill. In fact, you lost your job because of it, a similar story to Gretchen's. But you were told you'll get a severance as long as you sign this non-disclosure agreement. You were only 26 years old at the time. How difficult was that decision for you?
It was a very difficult decision at the time. My salary was actually only about $30,000 a year. My car was broken down, and I had student loans amongst other, a host of other things that I needed to pay off as a 26-year-old new college graduate. And I didn't have the option on getting that severance package after the wrongful termination for sexual harassment in the State House in Massachusetts to not sign that agreement.
You've said that some of the people who harassed you might even still be working here on Beacon Hill. Does that make it more difficult to do your job, to come here every day?
It's been very difficult. In fact, when we took the vote on whether or not to ban the use of non-disclosure agreements in the House of Representatives, and you looked up at the board and everybody was voting on this, I wonder how many of those representatives actually benefited financially from a non-disclosure agreement that they gave to one of their employees. Huge conflict of interest there. But again, you don't know what's happening unless this actually passes. We won't be able to find out who's been using these non-disclosure agreements unless the Speaker and the Governor take action on this, and they have refused to come to the table on this issue. And it's unacceptable. I hope that the people listening at home call the Speaker and call the Governor and ask them to pass this bill and to stop silencing people using their tax dollars.
Tell us about the proposal. What are the specifics?
The proposal bans the use of taxpayer dollars from being used in cases where there is a non-disclosure agreement. So non-disclosure agreements cannot be paid for with tax dollars at all, across the board in Massachusetts. And in the private sector, it reforms how they're able to be used in cases of sexual harassment and assault.
What about the argument that some victims of sexual harassment might want an NDA, that they don't necessarily want to be public, but they do want to be compensated? How do you deal with that issue?
I think that that's totally their right. That's their choice. But the perpetrators should always be outed. That's been the problem for the last 3 decades in our country, is that we've protected the predator. And not only does that mean that they can go on to be repeat offenders, but it also means that the women are the only ones who are silenced. So if it's their choice that they don't want to have it be public, then that should be their choice.